Conflict has returned once again to Ethiopia, this time in Amhara, the second largest region in the country. Many Amharas say that they've been sidelined by the government in Addis Ababa, which is dominated by the Oromo ethnic group. Local rebels in Amhara, known as Fano, helped the government in its 2-year war in neighboring Tigray. Now, though, they've taken up arms against the military. The rebels have been, in turn, accused of trying to overthrow the government.
For those of you unaware of the conflict going on right now in Ethiopia, there is a conflict between the people of the Amhara and the local government in Ethiopia. More so along the lines of them not getting their say, especially when it comes to voting, the way the government's being run, and they feel as though their say has been kind of suppressed. They lean towards a statement that the elections that took place there with Mr. Abiy Ahmed, their current prime minister, that it was rigged. Now, to go into full detail about what exactly took place and how it all went down, you don't really have to look much further than the American government to see how, when a certain regime wants power, they can do and will do whatever they have to maintain that power or even gain it. The difference is the Amhara people are not just going to sit by and let this thing take place. They have risen up, taken up arms, and created what they call a rebel uprising. I can't really call it a rebel uprising when you're simply trying to save your sovereignty. If you go back through all of history, there are myriads of times where people who were oppressed, who were downtrodden, stood up against the powers that be and took their liberties back. The Amhara people don't want necessarily to rule the world, they just want to be able to rule their future on their own terms. Mr. Abiy is what you would call a globalist. He is the leader of the Prosperity Party, and he's been in power since about 2019. Now, he was given, kind of like Mr. Obama, a Nobel Peace Prize for what? No one can really say. He came from nowhere, rose to prominence, and all of a sudden, Nobel Peace Prize. Now, what they said they gave it to him for was his efforts in achieving peace and international cooperation. If those terms sound familiar, there is another way that they phrase it nowadays, and it's called the New World Order. If America can learn anything from what's going on right now in Ethiopia, is that if the people who are over there that are feeling what they're feeling right now, which is being suppressed, can rise up after being armed by the very same government, what does that say for us? Now, I know this particular topic is not about the US, but when you look overseas and see people who have way less to lose fighting for it, I don't know if that's not a wake-up call. It should be a wake-up call. So let's look at this in another aspect. He is also the same one that's making deals with Russia and trying to outreach, is what he would say, to the larger countries in order to push forward the agenda of the Prosperity Party. They lean towards what you would call the Democratic Party. It shouldn't be a surprise, really, because in essence, the Democratic Party throughout the world is really the party that's trying to grab power. That is all it is. It's a simple, plain, everyday run-of-the-mill power grab. They want everyone to conform. They need everyone to follow the New World Order. The difference here is that you will be called all kinds of names: traitor, rebel, upriser, insurrectionist, if you decide to go against the grain and fight the system, as you are seeing now with the Amhara people. They are trying to maintain their sovereignty within the confines of Ethiopia, while the regime of Ethiopia is trying to tell them, you have no sovereignty but what we give you, and you need to comply with us in order to move forward in the society we are trying to build. Again, there are many nuances. There's many conflicts going back lots of years, 1,000 plus, of a conflict between the Amhara people and every regime that's ever existed at the head of the country of Ethiopia. I get that. But we are talking about the current iteration of the current regime and the current relationship between the Amhara people and the regime right now in power. The regime that's in power right now are socialists. They are no different than any other global regime trying to bring all the people to think one way and to be integrated into one way or else. Our goal here in learning about this conflict is to try and see why is it that we here, who are so privileged to even have a voice, are unwilling to stand up. Meanwhile, you have people in Ethiopia with more odds against them doing what we ought to do. Now, again, I'm not calling for a coup. I'm not calling for a violent outbreak, but some spine would be nice. Some spine, any spine, a little bit of spine would be nice. But as for the conflict, we can only hope that the Amhara people can get some sort of headway in this, because if they lose even a little bit more footing, you can kiss Ethiopia goodbye. Socialists will move in, and that will be one more piece in the cog of the New World Order.